Orang tua pun boleh nari dia.
Alah, tak ingat
Oi,
depan ni.
never. What the hell? Nenek
Yeah.
Let's
Tiga lagi.
Pesta
Malam
tu.
Sabtu. Malam Sabtu. Ayo.
Let's go.
Pesta-pesta je.
tak main macam ni.
I've been looking forward to working with you. Never imagined this day would come so soon. Is there trouble? You can tell me anything. Just like old times.
It's been a while, Madam Jade. I'm honored to have the opportunity to work with you.
You're still so formal, aren't you? Forget about the hierarchy and treat
Hello guys, welcome to the day streaming. Today we'll be playing Sims 3 because I just want to chill, play some Sims, kill some Sims. No, not killing. We don't do kill. I just want to see, Sims 3 I've been playing Sims 3 since, my childhood. I do have Sims 3 all pack, but that is on my Steam. But this one on EA apps, I only have the Sims 3 only. I don't have other packs, so this is just a Sims 3 base game, guys. I not really confident to download all the packs because I don't know if my laptop can handle it. But we will see. You guys see how I play Sims. I don't know. So I'm just chilling today. So I will open my Spotify, by the way, so you guys can like lurk, chill with me while playing game, while listen to my song. I'm sorry, a lot of it is K-pop song. Not my fault. Alright, let's go. I think there's only Sunset Valley up. I think it's all audio is okay. I do want to have other packs, but then the problem with Steam, if they download all, I can't choose pack in the Steam. I can't uninstall some pack that I don't want to play. They just download everything. That's the problem with Steam. I be Mac. Like I got the shoe. I'm just gonna chill today. Apa je tu? Well, I'm gonna show you guys what I usually do in Sunset Valley. Sunset Valley is like my OG, you know. But should I make it full screen? Actually, it's kind of small for me. Let me do full screen. You guys will see the same, but Abi Mevalu. I thought you have classes. I thought you have classes, Bimek. That's why you play the game. Bimek, malam ni. Let's play Sim 3. Welcome to Sim 3. Use the button below to get started. Alright, guys. Let's create some Sims. Kalau pukul 5, sebelum 5 dapat. I thought petang dah boleh. Malam. We gonna do our Sims. Randomize. Tonya married. I don't know what the name is Sims. Camel, Jeter, Shockley. Let's find a good last name that I like. Ruth, Shaver, no, Griffith, Borcute. How is it? K. I feel like the randomizer don't know what to put anymore. What do you mean KK? Hi Rafi, hello, welcome to the stream. Welcome. How are you? Masa BMX sebelum pukul 5 boleh dalam. Yeah. I did. I don't know. I thought you busy. Yesterday I misunderstand. Sorry BMX. Later. I'm trying to find last name. Do you guys have any suggestions? Pulen. Oh, but I like the first name just now. Rosaline. Okay, we're gonna name our Sims Rosalind. Rouge is like a cockroach. Walls. Elroy. Mercer. Chrisms. Baru bangun Jenny. Tak ada kelas ke ni Rafiq? Morning. Mama tak alih. Alah. Memang tak cakap awak. Demi bukan Memang tak cakap awak. Aziz salah faham. I'm sorry Bimek. Jana. Satu hari tak pergi mana kot. Tak apa Bimek. Walau boleh hari-hari. Happy barang kelas. Apa barang kelas? Rafiq. Habis. Rafiq tak ada kelas. Tak apalah. Menganggur Sama lah. Kita pun menganggur. Black. Sorry. Yeah, I was like, when talking about black, kind of remind me of Harry Potter. Who's the guy name? The one that died. Kind of forgot. Nganggur Tak apa. Kita sama-sama. Jom. Nganggur sama-sama. Bimek je di kelas. Gura? Gilet Par. Milderton. It sounds like the one the English story cerita TV show in Malaysia. Mr. Milderton. Wah. Rosalind Milderton. Honeycat sounds cute. Rosalind Honeycat. I'm gonna name Rosalind. Is that how you spell Rosalind? Rosalind Honeycat. It doesn't have a lot of slider by the way. Wow, buff girl. What is this? I don't see any different. What is? Oh, we're not gonna touch that. Mana ada off day Hari sebut. Biasanya birthday Hari. Mesti sebelum off day tu kena shift sampai malam-malam kan? Kan? How do you off head? You kan like I used to play Sims 3. Like, I like to use this hair. I don't know. This hair was my OG. This hair. A lot of Sims 3 hair I like lah. This hair. I never used the hat because I can't really see the hair. No, I never use hat. Normal hair also can. This hair, I don't know, I like long hair. Oh, this emo hair. Yes, I'm an emo girl, guys. We met to couple siapa tak boleh kalau malam. Tapi nanti kalau kita dua free lagi kita ni. And I like to do orange hair. I don't know. I have a thing for brunette, I guess. And you can like, and I don't know why I like to have a yellow orangey highlight. This is, I'm telling you, the old me, okay? The old me. And of course you have color wheel. Yeah. Wish we go green. Okay, this is the old me. Okay, I'm just showing you guys. I'm not doing it. That is the old me, the young me, and this hair I always do for my older sim, like my adult sim. How was your night? Welcome to the stream. How are you? Then I just go maybe this one, you know, updo it a bit. I can create a style. I can style it. Can have pink, maybe fabric, another pink. Siapa kau dia dapat? Okay, insyaAllah boleh. Can. No, I not kepam. Black. No, I don't know. I don't know what I like. Leather. Wish. I don't know. Maybe we just pick the normal one. Right? Yeah. I'm just gonna speed loading. Just gonna do this one. Okay. I'm not gonna spend too much time on the creator sims. Maybe this one. Why is blusher is a bit very worrisome. Okay. This is just so cute. So this look fine. Just gonna pick all the presets. Okay, guys. Can I color? Oh, purple. Pink. Pink eye. We can do pink eye. Nose. I guess that one is nice. I think lips are fine. No, let's do makeup. Wow. Why is look like that? I the graphic is I don't know how I used to find graphic on Sims 4 nice. I mean Sims 3. I'm sorry. Wrong Sims. Why? I used to feel like it's so nice. It's fine, but I don't know. And you know what I like? And I like a thick eyeliner. Wait, I think when I was playing this, I was a emo girl. But like this one. You guys can hear the Spotify, right? It's good to see. Hi, Amiro. You can hear the Spotify, right? You guys can chill while listening to the Spotify, okay? No worry. I think this is fine. But I don't like the lips. Why my Spotify stop? Hello, Spotify. Please don't stop. I'm listening to it. Why like this? Sorry. Whatever you say, Chato, I might do this not full screen. It's a bit hard. Gusto niya nak Valo? Bima is Valoring. You guys can Valo. Okay, I think it's nice. Alright. Might do... Oh, wait. There was... What's this? Oh, tattoo. Oh, disconnected. No wonder. I like to do this. This one. I remember. I always do this. And itu why my Spotify keep why my Spotify keep disable? I mean, hello. You have things. Disconnect. I can't do anything, ma. Should I do pants?
Huh.
This one?
Schnuggle.
Should I do pants?
Huh.
Long pants? I think long pants is nice. Shoes. I'm gonna do shoes. I like the shoes that she's wearing actually, but she wearing socks. Let me look for the socks. Right, where's the socks? Socks. Oh, I kind of messy. I always do this pink. Okay, there's not a lot of option, guys. I'm sorry. But sometimes I do this also. It's really all the time. Saya cakap dengan Z. Kenapa pula? Apa salah saya? What I do? Where's the sock sections? I wanna unselect you. Okay. Formal.
Zalaba Wifa.
Am I having crash and recrash? Am I crashing a lot? What okay? Am I having a lot of crash? If I have a lot of crash, I might need to change my internet.
Nushki Zanzi.
I'm sorry. I'm just gonna choose that. Athletics.
Nufa.
Might do some normal jumper. And then yeah. Shoes. Pink shoes. Do I want to color that hair color?
Sizzle.
That's kind of fine. Wait, let me. I forgot to change my hair color. Blonde. Hello. Oh wait, sorry. Wrong. This is. Alright. You have Rosalind hair honey cuts. I think this is okay. The everyday clothes is this one. Everyday clothes. Chotomate slowly.
Nufa.
And then we have formal wear.
Snark.
She really like
Kushal.
black and pink. Black pink in your area,
Raffia.
guys. And the thick
Nushki Zanzi.
swimwear.
Zalaba
Alright.
Wifa. Jack.
Personality. Alright. Okay, I can't remember what. At traits. There's not a lot because it's just the basic game. But I used to love neat. I like to choose good. Ambitious. I do like it. Can play 5 and genius. I'm a genius, guys. Nachoku. Virtuoso. Insane. No. Brave, clumsy, couch potato. What should I pick, guys? Flirty. Friendly. Flirty.
Aha, Abagravis.
Flirtissima, constantly looking for romance. Great kisser. Oh my god. Don't kiss people. I'm not sorry. Family oriented, frugal. And I know frugal, you can click coupon and save money. Oh, I think frugal is nice also. Cryptomania, I can take people item. I love the outdoor. We can. Do I want to do love the outdoor? Physical workaholic. Computer wizard. What do I want last one? Excitable, flirty. I just do flirty. I'm gonna do flirt.
Yeah.
Stop closing my Spotify. So we can pick our lifetime wish. We can't really change it like Sims 4. Swimming in cash. CEO. Star no anchor. Heartbreaker. Be a girlfriend of 10 different Sims. Oh my god. Let's do CEO of mega corporations. Favorites, she like beans. I know. Mac and cheese. What do I like to eat? Pancakes. I do love pancakes.
Nagibus Kania.
Narzi Banuktal. Narbo Bazeb.
Chilaki. Diwa
Wibsy. Bonakatu.
Voice one kinda nice. Payment lurk. Okay. Thank you for the lurk. Astrological sign. I'm a Germany. Germany. I'm born in June, so it's Germany. I might open YouTube Music if Spotify keep doing like this. Alright, we have Rosalind Honeycuts. Okay. Let's go.
Gazork.
We have our Honeycuts family. There's not a lot of houses. There are only 4 starter home, I think. Yeah. I think there's one more. It's somewhere. Yeah. It's either is it this one? Is it this one or is it this one? Ya. Dia pernah ada dekat sini. Remove rotates. Oh. Alamak. So rotate guna mouse wheel. I don't really like use mouse wheel. Tapi dia suruh pilih rumah. Dia tak bagi. It doesn't let us choose empty lots. So I don't really like this one. This house. It's really, there's a lot of tree and I can't buy and furnish. This is always my favorite, but this one you have a lot of area. So I might choose this one. Do I want this one? This one is nice. This one is very nice one also. But the area is not that besar. It's very small. So I might choose this one. Purchase. Oh my god, I'm so miskin. I had 229. 200, it's only 279 simoleons. I thought I didn't open my lesson. Hello and welcome to Sims 3. This is your new town. Just waiting for you to shape and change it. See that green bubble? That's a map tag and it represents your house. Concentrate on solid property purchase. That's Notice the assortment for different map tag in the town. Each of them represent a house, business, or community location. But where is your sim? Just click on the view my sim button to zoom right in. Let's go. This is my sim, guys. Right. Oh. I already clicked on it. Okay. You can also zoom in this view to zoom in and out. Roll the middle mouse wheel up down. You can also use the tail, rotate and zoom to control the camera. Right. Is it this one? Oh my god, too much. Now let's explore your house. There are a few tools for helping you. This, the flow up, go down. This one to change view, I think. I like this one. This one is nice. Yeah. You can now choose, you know what your sim code. You will use a new couch. No, I don't need a new couch. What do you mean? Oh wait, this is the tutorial. Buy couch. So where can you get a couch? Let's go to the buy modes. Yeah, let's go. You can furnish your sim house in buy mode by using the household fund to purchase stuff and then buy a couch to help out. Oh, I've been giving a 500 bonus this guys. I already have a couch. I don't need a couch. Wait. Can I change my controller? Hi, Flamey. Hello, hello, hello. Akakatashim. How are you? What couch should I take? I do love this couch. They give me 500 by the way. Chita mate. This is 450. Love seat. Oh wait. I don't need to buy. Free money, let's go. Free money, let's go. Sila kepam. Tak ada, you guys are kepam. They gave me 500 simoleons and I didn't even buy new couch. Let's go. Moving furniture is pretty simple. Blah blah. Once I pick it, then move it somewhere else. Okay then. Now put it back. Furniture can rotate. To rotate the couch, click on it once and pick it up. Then click and hold the left. Oh, okay. Nice to know. I don't remember much. Hi Haru, Haru Pam Pam. Welcome to the stream. By buying that couch, you fulfill the wish and earn your sim some lifetime happiness. Right. What is? Sit on couch. This is tutorial by the way. Okay, sim panel have been hidden for you. You can always view them. For now, let's fulfill these new wishes. Sit on it, guys. Sit on your couch. Don't go anywhere. Sit. And my Spotify again. Can my Spotify not pause? I don't know why. If you ever unsure what your sim is up to, look at the action cube at the top. This icon indicates what your sim is doing. You can cancel any action by clicking on the icon for the action. When you're ready to get a sim off the couch and move on, cancel the action. Cancel. Bangun. Get up, mister. You may have noticed the little green icon popping up. These are moodlet and represent effect of action. Who keep pausing my Spotify? Korang macam ni nak baiki Spotify. How to make my Spotify not pause while I'm playing game? You seem has a positive. Nak kata disconnected my internet, okay je. You seem has a positive green moodlet now because you just help fulfill wish. Mouse over it for more detailed informations. Fulfill. Cuba launch at admin. Sekejap. Maybe. Because they keep pausing. Stress pula sih. Nak main game tapi stress. Hi Gami. I miss you. My Spotify keep pausing, Gami. What should I do? Guys, already run an admin. Or maybe wait, contoh mati. Korang sit dulu. Kita property. Apa kami PC rosak? Banyak ada.
Tung SAHUR, Trulalelo TRALALALA, P-Pipotatu.
Apa benda tung. Timbun, hai, welcome. Sakit hati dia kami dengan Spotify. Itulah puasa. Kenapa dia asyik berhenti like every 10 second, 10 minutes. Sekejap macam mana compatibility. Haru kata cuba sebagai admin kita try Spotify ni. Dalam pula Zee. Nak bagi korang dengar lagu while I'm enjoying my sim trade. Tu je niat Zee. No. Every 30. Sama lah. Macam tu lah juga. Sometimes dia ada laju. Like 30 to 40 second. Sometimes dia okay. Hipau je tadi music. Apa Spotify ni? Oh, name pun sama. Sekejap kita try sebagai administration. Sebagai sugar daddy rasa music pump. Belikan PC baru untuk Z. Siapa? Fusune. Terima kasih Fusune. Thank you Fusune. Okay, kita tengok dia berhenti lagi tak? Kalau berhenti lagi Z tukar YouTube music. Pasal kenapa tak push je music? Tak tahulah. Dia tak faham sangat Spotify ni. Kan ada setting dia sekejap. Let me see a setting. Mana setting? Setting. Account to play. Tengok tu dia berhenti lagi. Anda juga setting Benar lah. Alah. Benci lah. Tak yalah korang dengar je lah suara Z. Private triple high activity kan recently. Apa? Bila reach customer support dia kata line slow. In what way? Takkanlah. Alah, select ni kalau line slow dia buat macam tu. Kalau line it's just a song a Spotify. Takkanlah dia ambil banyak sangat line. Oh my god, Spotify. Come on, YouTube is much better, you know. Can do better. Kan, gigit je. Go. We bash Spotify now. Bash all the Spotify. Aduh. Kalau YouTube music memang random song sebab I don't have playlist on my YouTube untuk music lah. Alright, kita continue the fulfill mood. Disconnected. Crash tu kita abaikan. Abaikan crash tu guys. What I was saying is kalau you only open Spotify, okay lah. It doesn't do anything lah. It doesn't stop the music lah. Yeah. Apa tu je? Fusune Genshin ke? Abel request tu apa? Genshin ke? Abel request to Genshin. I thought maybe I want to play Genshin today, but then I said no. I don't really want to play Genshin. Cerita. Sama je Z. Kami tak buka apa-apa pun stop. Then that's not line problem. Hello, Spotty. That's just weak mechanism. Ban Spotify. Dah Z buka YouTube Music untuk korang. Sakit hati. Tapi YouTube Music ni YouTube Zia aja yang. Nah, tutup Spotify. Ban Spotify. Nak buat SR tu, I don't really know how to. Aircon jap. Sekejap nak buka aircon panas. Nalah korang. Korang buka je Spotify sendiri. Oh, hai kami. Sorry, buka aircon je tadi. Aduh. Bersuaranya. Sekejap. Apa 50 bang. 50. Oh, kami buka ni. Lagu dalam ni. Sekejap problem sikit. Sekejap. Sebab dia banyak buka benda ni. Arigato. Welcome. Sekejap I'm doing R&D sekejap. Sekejap. Tak okey. Nak Kencana. Kencana nak okey. Okay.
Z dengan Spotify punya bot ni lancar ke lag?
Okay je. Okay. Kalau nak guna Spotify punya bot ni.
Bot ni pakai Spotify punya playlist yang kami buat.
Oh. Okay lah. So dia tak stop ah. Okay lah. Jadi. Dah. Saya nak main SIM 3. Thank you kami buka Spotify ni. You should use that kan. Sebab Spotify app is trash. Tapi saya nak lagu sih. Apa lagu Ami? Adalah. Haji tadi. Alright guys, kita sambung guys. SIM 3. Dia nak tunjuk korang Z punya masa Z kecil-kecil Z kahwin dengan siapa dalam game ni. Sorry. The ocean menu in the corner and now you'll be great time to save your game. Oh yeah, I forgot to save my game. Save it. Apa nama? Honeycut.
Ruby-chan, nani ga
Gami
suki?
lagu apa ni Gami?
Yorimo
Oh tak. Sekejap. Ni blur Z Saya main blur. Siapa keliling tu? Kato lah tu.
Tak apa-apa.
Gami lah tu. Tak, kenapa dia tak tunjuk kat chat Zia? Satu masalah. Berhenti strip.
Lingangu liguli guli wata lingangu liguli wata lingangu.
Macam korang ni. Lingangu guli. Tutorial should save the game. Alright. I wanna decorate my house pink, you know. All pink. Tapi lamanya save. Boleh key ke tak ni? Kencana ke tak ni? Kencana? Hello SIM 3? Hello my game? Okay, kencana. Alright, kita taruh dah habis. Kita boleh lah kita main our games. Okay, by the way, this is Rosalind Honeycut. Dia seorang yang flirty, neat, frugal, ambitious and friendly. Ini rumah dia ada one bathroom, one child room and one master bedroom, kitchen and doesn't have TV. By the way, sekejap, macam mana nak rotate? No. Nak kena guna mouse wheel lagi. How do I change it? Can I change my control? What? Nani? Can I change my controller? No. The capture music. Tak boleh kot. Kita tak ada relationship. No. Nothing. Right. So just simple. Nak tahu siapa Zee suka kahwin dulu? Nak kita pergi visit tak? Boleh je untuk korang Oh yeah, I have some money. I might buy a television. Can I buy a TV? Yeah. 209. Tak nak. Apa yang tak nak? Nak lah. Dia ada dua sama Z kahwin dengan. Tak apalah. Kita tengok TV dulu. Surat khabar pun tak ada lagi ni. Oh, apa tu? That's about it. Okay, sorry. Tutorial. Dia nak join business career, guys. Dia nak jadi seorang CEO yang berjaya, kan? Hormatilah golongan single. Tak apa. Saya pun single gak. But married to my 2D character. Pasangan ke bunyi? Tengok TV. Tak tahulah tengok cerita apa. Tengok cerita apa awak? Rosalind. Tak tahulah nama. Surat khabar sampai dah. Okay. Kita find job. Pergi cepat. Find the job. I think memang my internet is very poopy today. Alah, internet. Yang macam ni. So, dia nak cari CEO. So, she will do business, guys. So, entry level is coffee courier. Entah lah. Sekejap. Bustling hall of the business office need quick thinking seem to take it to the next level. The board room value strong office relationship. Right. Macam tu je. Kan dah siap dah. Wah, salah tekan. Mana ada gamer? 60 sims. Tak yalah. Mahal. Saya tak ada duit lah. Sorry lah. Korang, saya dah ada kerja. Korang ada kerja. Itu tak ada kan. Dia nak learn gitar, buy gitar. Boleh lah. Gitar mahal ke? Is guitar expensive, guys? By the way, korang buat apa ti? Plan? Sim point. Oh no. Where is the guitar? Hobbies? 600. Sonaflux guitar. Never mind. Expensive mah. You don't have money. Dia tak ada money, guys. Dia tak ada fund. Buat Shida TV. We don't have any entertainment right now. Sini, I don't know if Sindri have Welcome Wagon or not. Welcome Wagon. Simple, I know have Welcome Wagon. Should I change my furniture to all pink? Actually, I hate this kind of type of pink. I want soft pink. This one bag is so cute. Dia tengok cerita romantik. Dia tahu mat korang lah. Siga sorry lah, guys. Apa benda? Change to sport kid action. I think dia sports kids. Never mind lah korang. Tengok je lah. Spy ke? Is it a spy story?
Kenopa TTS ni Mahal Sangit, Lagi Mahal Dari Jack Sparrow TTS, Desar Scammer. ZIEKEPAM. Hey, Nani Garsuki, Chocominto, Yori Mozi, Ki, Pam.
Tak ada. Mana ada mahal? TTS tu. Okay je. Alah, biarlah. Masa nak ke Cakamin. Macam mana? Nani gaski Cakaminta. Jadi anak tak. Tak acu. Mati toksik deh. Penuh dengan tu. Chocomin. Iya ke korang suka Chocomin? Kan korang tak suka ke aiskrim Chocomin? Toilet sikit. Maybe kita try masak nak. Jom masak guys. Jack Sparrow, Garfield TTS 500 kalau merendahkan lagi. No.
Fusuni 2.0 Sent Jack Sparrow dengan Garfield TTS 500 je kalau boleh rendahkan lagi sampai 1 bit je. Lebih afdal buat free.
Hey. Tak nak. Free. No. Ada. Problem. Zimute bot mana ada. Korang tak dengar sangat dekat ni stream ni. Sekejap Dah. Boleh dengar? Ke kami tak dengar dalam ni? You can hear in the VC? Dalam stream. Sorry, dia sounds so low. Volume dia rendah. Sorry. Okay. Semua viewer boleh dengar korang boleh lah korang chill je dengar je lagu while I'm playing my games. Okay guys, we're doing stupid thing in Sim 3. Dia nak masak. Okay guys, kita serve brunch. Ke nak have brunch je kita buat waffle. Dia suka my Sim like pancake, tapi pancake pagi je ada. Dia masak, kau tengok dia masak. Dia tak telur, susu, pancake. Waffle kan? Waffle. Start waffle. Dingin nak waffle. Lurk, bye. Alright. Thank you for the lurk. See you dulu. Ada tengok tak pun. 19% only. Macam lagu tu. I think sometimes because I open so many things, so a lot of my because I open so many things, that's why I think my internet is a bit lagged. I think can't do anything. Nasi kecilkan korang lagi. Burn. I knew it, the waffle will be burned. What is that? Charcoal waffle, guys. Macam normal banget. Rosalind just burned the meal she was cooking. She always remember getting careless and then catching a whiff of her charred food. Share this memory. Kau share ke mana? I don't even know. Makan. Eat your charcoal. Eat the waffle, Mr. Rosalind. Dia tak pandai masak macam Z lah. Apa ni? Flirt. Dia nak flirt dengan orang lah. Okay. Nanti kita cari kita jumpa orang-orang yang Z suka dulu. Ada 2 je dalam sim ni. Tak banyak sim 3. So this is only the base game. So only not a lot of character I like. Dah. Sudah kan? Kau pandai masak. Okay. I don't think there's will be welcome wagon. Slowly siap. Okay, kita pergi. Rumah dia dekat sini korang. Tak tahu lah dia ada kat rumah. Ada Sakamoto. Sakamoto. It's Japanese people, I think. Let's go. Lari. Let's go. Dia bawa nak render sekejap. Nak skip song. Tak apa, it's fine. Okay je. Hello. Open up. I wanna visit your son. You gonna open the door. Open the door, please. Oh, ada. How do I zoom? Yeah, dia being invited inside, guys. Hello there, Grandma. Yumi Sakamoto. Okay. Tapi satu je Sakamoto. Dia ada anak. Dulu tengok ni anak dia, Sam Sakamoto. Mana pakcik tu? Kau kenapa?
Gorbaribo.
Yeah, you don't like me. Friendly. Ask about career.
Salchibana. Chugu.
Former group special.
Kasi, Gazor, Snaga.
Get to know. Mana alah nak tak ada kat sini lah korang. Kau kat atas. Sekejap aku tengok atas. Oh. Oh, ada komputer kat atas korang. Dia ada bilik khas kat atas. Ni bilik streamer ni. Isolated.
Quarbna. Yargor.
Kenapa? Kenapa main sim macam tu? dah tak betul ni. Sekejap. Ni boleh. You're my destiny.
Bribda, Tazargia Vevi.
I like the song if my Kyunsu sing it. Thank you so much. Talk about new job. You know, I have a new job. I'm gonna be the CEO of this world, so you better watch it. I want to meet your son, but I don't know where is your son. Your son is not here, unfortunately. Never mind, we shall. This separate ikan, you know, this separate ikan separate the grandma house here while his son live here. Yeah, the son is here. The son, hello there. Kenapa saya suka dia dulu? Yeah, dia kat rumah dalam sekarang. A friendly introduction. Hello there. Dia nak kelak. Are you? Tak boleh ke? This is the. This is the person that I liked when I was a child. While I was a child, I was playing Sim 3. I kept marrying him. I'm sorry, guys. See? Oh, we have so much in common. I love to get to know you better. We have chemistry. The chemistry is there. Liangton. I don't know how to say your name. Liangton? Layton? I always say Layton. Let's get to know him. Hello, Layton Sekemoto. Sekemoto. Why it's keep cancelling my interaction? Kau boleh queue. It's the story, you know. I once marry you in my childhood. Talk about new job. You know, I have a job. You have a job. You have a job, right? Wait. Okay. we need to be friends with this guy. Wait, what time is it? It's 6 p.m. Let's gossip. I like pink. Do you like pink? What color do you like? Okay. We have a attractive company. Oh la la. Oh la la. Azin has found a hot sim. She like to get to know better. Oh la la. Funny, make silly face. I'm a funny guy, guys. Tell a funny story. Oh yeah, I kind of forgot to do some things. I need to start setting something. Alright. Jap. Ni apa pula dengan internet di sini? Yeah. Minecraft. I'm playing Sims 3. I'm playing Sims 3. Mana ada? Dia ada Leon turn second motor. Aduh. Oi. Ada. Kalau kami nak main dengan member, jelah. Tak ada halangan. Sama. That's why I play Sim 3. I just flirt with Linton. flirt. We shall flirt more, guys. Pick up line with Linton. Dah, aku tuju balik. Dating dia. Nak pergi ke rumah. Rumah gelap. Saya nak tukar controller ni. Right. Use that. Kita mandi, take a bath. And then we need to sleep. So esok kerja. Tomorrow work start 8 AM. Alright. Mami tak kerja ni. Oh, bukan relax. Sorry, wrong. Sleep. Lagu ni siapa ni? Connect. Dapat tak connect? Right. Cause this one is it. What is my Sims taking a bath? Right, speed up. Oh, I forgot there's 4 times speed. Yeah, sleep time. Sleep. Kami dengan Minecraft ke tu? Ayo. Alright. Tepatkah we are let's make some wait, I can't do what, pancakes? Maybe we need a higher level to make pancakes. Sleep. She's sleeping. Alright, wake up. Oh no. Oh wait, our work is at 8, right? I think it's fine. Right. Mood, boss. I need to have a good relationship with boss. Wait, who is our boss? Thornton Wolf. Oh, the Wolf family. Alright. We need to have a good relationship with the boss. Oh. Sorry, hi Biman. Oh, my chat broken tadi. Patut tak ada chat. Patut tak nampak cik korang. Hehe. Kemenangan saya. Aduh, tidur. Mana ada? Sekejap je. Masak. Makan. Waffle. Semalam, last night dinner was waffle. This morning dinner is waffle. So, every day is waffle. See, he's a good cook now. No burn. But still normal quality. Rosalind just grabs the basic of cooking. She will always remember that moments where it all start to come together. Share this memory. I don't know where gonna share. Learn gardening skill. She wanna learn gardening skill. I need to find seeds. Easy. I'm sorry, guys. My OBS keep crashing, so check a bug sikit lah. Makan. Eat. I need to increase my fun. I guess might watch TV before I go to work. Because my mood is good, but I need more good. We need gooder. 3 hours left to go to work. Yeah, we're gonna speak. Now let me save before it crash. We need to save, guys. Save the game. Saving. How's Valo Bimek? Macam mana Valo? Alright, this the carpool for Resident Evil coming, but ooh, ada carpool. Bestnya kalau you go to work, there's a carpool. No one knows who. It's not here, right? No, it's not. It's usually there's a car or ni. Right. I think at 7 the carpool will come. Right. Oh, car is here. Go to work. Resilient, go to work. Gonna be the best CEO ever. Yeah. Oh, only that our uniform. Okay. We go to work. Now, while she at work, actually you can follow and see where she go to work. See the car moving. It's not a rabbit hole like Sims 4. This is my workplace. And this is all my coworker and everything. I need to go. Enter. Oh, that's my boss. Hello boss. Good morning. Boss masuk kerja dulu. Before me. Jom. Sorry boss. Okay. Attend writing class. Ooh, I can attend class. Rosalind just went to work for the first time. Another 50 year of daily grind and she can retire. 50 years? When I first saw you. Don't really have anything. What ni? Befriend or co-worker. Oh my god. Ooh. We got events. Make a coffee the executive way. Your boss think it'd be most beneficial if you read Caffeine Culture, a detailed book on the intricacy of bringing coffee to the boardroom. It is surefire career improver. Your boss like you more, and your job performance increase. A win-win. So I need to read a book about coffee, guys. Alright. Yes. Would you like to accept this opportunity? Yes. Can I say? I think this is the book. Somewhere we can be alone. Wait. I didn't meet my coworker. Ooh, increase very fast. Say yes. Oh no, I'm stressed. Strain. Oh my god. What is? Buy something on sale. I know. Buy guitar. What should I don't know. Buy something on sale. I might not buy a guitar. Maybe. Okay, never mind. Guitar is expensive, guys. Alright, she's very hungry. Let's have lunch. Mac and cheese. Mac and cheese is free. I've been waiting to a shrine. You'll be the prince and I'll be the princess. It's a love story. Say yes. Turn funny how I feel. Still need to learn gardening. Alright, after you eat, she need a bath. And then she might read the books. Right, we need to do our work assignments, guys. We need that performance boost. Gusto kat Valor, right? I'm playing Sims. Mana dia tahu? I mean, there's a miscommunication. Kali dia kena bagi spesifik masa kasi. No, dia hanguskan dia punya mac and cheese. No, mac and cheese bakar. No, you're supposed to eat it. Never mind, we eat later. We eat later. Ui, dia punya pixel. Pixelated. Julian, you don't have to be alone. I love you and that's surrender to your address in the story. Baby, just say yes. We were both young when I first saw you. Right, we speed. Sikit lagi. Oh, it's giving me fun. Give me fun. Beat the books and eat the leftover mac and cheese. Inilah kehidupan seorang orang pekerja. Balik kerja, makan, buat kerja, lepas tu tidur. She need to sleep. Dah tak ada energy. Ini dia opso mah. Wah, need to sleep lah. Makan. Cepat. I think I enable aging. Day anti-aging is 20. Right. Make the bed. Tomorrow morning lah, Miska. Tadi I kind of forgot to see how much we're making for the work from the work. Oh wait, Rosin earned 161 simoleons. Okay lah, 161. It's a nice money, guy. Money is still money. But how do you start gardening? Maybe I know you can find seed all over this one. Maybe after work we can like go to the park. The park have some tree. Is that? And then we will have. We can do pancakes. 6 simoleons. I can find. No, clean something. You're gonna clean something. That's a easy task to do. Does the pixel on the Sims always like that? I'm not sure. Yeah, she's cooking her pancakes. She like pancakes, you know, guys. I made her favorite food, pancakes. Actually, gardening is good. Actually, gardening, because at the end of when you have maximum the gardening skill, you can get a quest. A quest that make you can grow anything on the tree. That's the best thing. We still have cooking level 1 only. But I think we can increase more the cooking. Come on, you are level 1. Don't burn the cooking. It's fine, it's fine. But she look very frustrating.
Drink, please.
I thank you for the hydrating. Thank you so much. Jatuh mate. You guys also hydrate, okay? Okay, thank you. Thank you for the hydrate. Hi, Urine. How are you? Welcome to the stream. We just playing Sim 3 and now we just chilling. I just want to play games that I love to play. I might play Sims 4 in the future, by the way. I had thought about doing 100 baby challenge on Sims 4. Base game only lah, because I only have base game. Oh, my car is almost here. 1 hour. Eat fast. We need to take a bath before we go to work, but maybe we do make bets. 100 baby challenge is a nice challenge. I don't know what kind of challenge that I can do in Sims 4 in base game. 100 baby challenge is a easy challenge in base game. Not easy. I mean, you can do it in base game. Because a lot of challenge you need other packs, so I don't really have other packs. Now we need to take a bath before go work. Take a bath. Still got time, guys. Still got time. Hello, my people. I'm sorry, reconnecting. I don't know my internet. I'm using your mobile internet, by the way. Okay. Enough taking a bath. Your car is here. Your carpool. We need to go to work. Nanti kena tinggal. Okay, we already read the books. Okay, so I should have boost in work performance. Meet coworker. Yeah, I need to meet my coworker so we can be friends. We need to be friends with them. My officials. Hello, good morning, coworker. This is my boss, I think. Hello, boss. I'm here. Yes, we let our boss in first. And also my boss also. I mean, not my boss, my coworker. Langgerak is there. Okay, what's that? The book was interesting, though perhaps also an unfortunate reminder of your current day-to-day office tasks. But on the bright side, your boss now think more highly of you, and your job performance has improved. You won't have this lower-level position forever. Yes, we need that job. Promotions. Lagi. A bit more, and then we enter the next promotion, guys. Why is not speeding? And I want to go to the park to find seed. Actually, I want to do gardening. Extra money from gardening. Oh, I met Lindsay Langrab. Nancy Langrab is a very rich people, you know. Yeah, Nancy. Oh, I think I can get promotion. Let's go, guys. Our boss is very happy too. Beautiful. Sorry. I wonder it was slow. Speed. I I don't remember what is the second stage of the mega corporations work. Come on, mega corporations. Alright, Rosalind earns 161 today. Okay. Yeah, impressive performance has earned her promotions to filing clerk. I become a clerk, guys. Kerani. Befriend Torton. Okay, boleh. Put away the grind and grab a Manila folder. This is a very old okay. Manila folder Kau Malikat. Rosalind now make $35 $35 simoleon per hour. Let's go. I got raised. Right. Yeah, I already met Nancy. No, I don't wanna go home. I wanna go to the park. Where's the park? I wanna go to the center park. I haven't shown you guys my second person that I like in this game. Oh, I haven't talked to Leonton in 2 days, I guess. If you don't talk to them, they'll be like, huh, who are you? Like, bapak tak kenal. Yeah, this is the central part. Rindunya. Yeah. Give me, I miss it a lot. All the Sims. The OG Sims. Jamie Jolina. Alright, I think there's a tree here. Yeah, apple tree. I'm gonna harvest some apple tree, yeah. This is why we came to the park. To get our seeds. We can plant apple from apple fruits, I think. I don't think you need seeds. Sorry, Gami, if I'm too busy. I'm yapping a lot. Oh, there's a bug here. You can also catch some bugs. Sini. Faster. Rosalind just harvest apple tree, yeah. And you also can fish here. Oh, people go toilet here. Oh, how do I change my... Can play chess here. Let me see if my second candidate of husband is here, but I don't see. His house is still near. Dekat je rumah dia. Hi, Sportshine. No, it's not the Kapims. It's not the Kapims 3. It's not Kapams. Okay. Sport. How are you? Welcome to the stream. I'm just chilling with the Sims 3. Okay. She's collecting some fruits because I want to plant the apples. I know we can plant apples. I'm not sure where we can get grapes here. But it's kind of nice able to play Sims 3 again. What's this? Chess tournament? Ooh, let's go. Chess tournament. There's a chess tournament happening. I think you need to play with people, the chess tournament. Oh wait, I wanna... Maybe my second potential husband is there. Let's see. I think that he is there. Yeah, you can ride cars. No, you can like look in the car thing, but I don't know how. How do I zoom? How do I... Okay, I don't remember the controller. Never mind, guys. I want to show you. Alright, this is the pair. I don't think... Alright. Macam tu, I read this. Chess tournament. Objective: win 3 chess games to earn some money and win another chess tournament. And win another? Alright, we just need to win 3 chess. I don't think we can swim. Oh wait, we can swim. Now because in my childhood we can swim. I guess because it's an old. Hank Gordon. Oh, I think do I ever marry Hank not Gordon, Gordard. Gordon tu yang chef. Okay. Play chess with Hank, play chess with me. I need to win against you. Can you? I don't know you, but you know me, I think. Cheaper. We need to win this. I need Tiri. I shall beat you, Hank. Okay. I never.
Neeb. Thorga.
Okay, let's see.
Neeb.
I don't see my. I already forgot his name actually, so I can't call his name. Oh, somebody is cooking.
Tamburi.
Due at 10. I don't know if we will reach it at 10. Am I winning? Am I? I feel like I'm losing.
Tabaro.
I feel like I'm losing this game. Come on, Rosalind. You can do this, Rosalind.
Yarble. Oh.
Who are you? Malcolm. Malcolm Langer. Child Malcolm. Who are you? Oh, you are Nialto. Nialto, what are you cooking? What with the horrifying quality here? Are you a Raiden Shogun type of cooking? Can't cook.
Waba chaba. Najib.
How can people make horrifying? I lose, guys. I'm losing. I don't think I can do this. Just I don't even have logic skills. My Sims look so stressed. No, stress. We move the knight to e5. The queen to d1. I'm not winning, guys. Oh, why are they not moving the chess piece? We've been playing for hours. They're doing the same thing. They're not moving at all, the chess piece. I don't think I can do this. I need more logic skill. Why is it so dark? There's no light here. You cook? Oh, there's a hot dog here. Never mind. Learn logic skill. I think I can. A bit more, and we learn logic skill. Let's just fast forward. Pass it, pass. See? No, I want that. Mind over matter. The successful application of logic to solve conundrums and the pursuit of science. Interesting. Oh, he's very hungry. Okay. Before you starve to death, I don't know why you just won't stop. Buy telescope. No, I don't have that kind of. Are you doing your homework here, Parker Lengra? What are you doing your homework here for? Can you eat? Yeah. Let's get some hot dogs. I think Nancy, the one who make that. Yep, Nancy. Oh, I have apple tree here. Kind of fine. Eat. And then we go back home and go back home and sleep. It might be late to work tomorrow if we don't sleep now. Let's go home. Nice chess game, Hank. And we didn't even increase our friendship at all. What was it? Oh yeah, you left the location while the event was still going on. How do you expect to participate when you're not even present? Maybe next. It just it's not showing I'm winning. Okay je, boleh je. Alright, Ami. See you. Bye. Meow meow. Thank you. Thank you for the recommendation on Discord. Alright. Now we back home. My home is so dark. Okay, we just gonna go sleep first. We just might take a bath tomorrow. Because I don't think we'll sempat. Right. We have 1,169. Can I buy an alarm? Because there's a burglar in this game. I see alarm. Where do I find alarm? Alarm. Our thief tech gotcha burglar. 885. So expensive. Expensive, but we need it. Or my item gonna get stolen. Let me save. Afraid of crashes. Don't crash my game. Sorry. Okay. Tomorrow we're gonna go work. I haven't planned my apple tree. Okay, I will be able to plant apple tree on Saturday or Sunday. Because work took a lot of days. Hours, and then after go work, then we have to go like, oh my god, and then go back home, eat, sleep. Life as a grangy, it's fine. Life as a worker, people. Vacation. Alright. A bit more. So we're gonna outstone. Let's go take a bath. We need to take a bath, guys. So stinky. Couple is an hour. Nah, it's fine. We have an hour to. We might not eat. We just gonna eat at home, I guess. At work, not home. We're just gonna eat at work. I think we can eat at work. Alright, take a bath. Alright. Car is here. Bit more. Okay. Let's go. Go to work. Oh no, I kind of forgot. I saw my newspaper, which automatic. My house is full of newspaper. I know. Can I drag? Yes, I can. I can drag my newspaper. Okay. Rosen is an ambitious sim, so she will get promoted faster than other sims. Ooh, nice. On my pay bill now. Oh, okay. That's easy. I kind of forgot about bills. Luckily, I have money. My bill was like, how much was it? 80 somethings. Maybe we can plan the apple tree now. I don't have season installed, so yeah, kind of fine. It's fine, guys. Has met Gunter Goff. Oh, the Goff family. We have so much in common. I love to get to know you better. Yeah, we can be friend, Goff. You have a wife, so no, we can't be in love with Goff. Okay, we're gonna plant apple tree. Can I plant? No, level 5. Let's plant. I should plant many. Let's plant 2 apple tree. Plant another one. prefer make call
Hmm.
invite out invite over invite household over. Oh, I can't water them. Nah, never mind. Let's take a bath first. We will ride the stars. A little bit my. She's a frugal. She clean. Alamak, clean. Never mind that. Clean until pristine. Alright. She want to clean the stove. We must clean. She's a neat person, so I can just click on the ground and she will clean the house. Okay, we need to find our potential husband, guys. The age is on, so she will get old. We need children. We need to get married, have children, and everything. Should I play age off? I don't know. Can also actually. True. Because we are able to be just you and me within this world. We go outside. I can clip some coupon. We can see what kind of coupon she will get. Because she's a frugal, so she can clip coupon. We might can use it to buy things. Yeah. How many? We have 4,000. 4,000. I like to buy, to buy what I call. There's one thing I like to buy is long distance friends. Yeah, LDF. Friend will never become distant friend, even if you ignore them for a while. They know you good for it down though. Yeah, to 20,000. I need to collect 20,000 points. I need to buy that. That is the most important. Oh, there's a paper here. Take a bath. You already take a bath. What do you mean by that? Fine, you wanna take another bath? You already cleaned. Huh. How do we rewrite the star? Say you made to be mine. Planet Bibos on bookstore and 600. Never mind. I don't have. I can't use this coupon. Bye bye. Should I save or just save? 3 days. Wait. I can read it, right? Let me read it. I don't know if there is any good news on the newspaper. Yeah, take a bath. Take those bath. Dah bersih dah, nak mandi lagi. Is there any good news in the newspaper? Broncos slightly better. Oh, I think this is sport news. More news. No news? Oh, no, there's only sport news. Alright. Do I want to look for my second potential husbands? I think his house somewhere at the center. Oh no, here. His house is over here. Working friend, I think. Yeah. SSBC my second potential husband. What's his name was? I'm not sure. Sweet into the beauty. Isn't it beautiful? Hillsides. Right. Let's go. Pasta. Oh, wait. There. Second potential. See, from the back. On the back, I already know. Styles, that McGraw. Family introduction. Hello there. No need to visit that. Let's just talk to him. No, I already flirt with Leon Thorne. Hello there. Nice to meet you. Oh, we have so much in common. Yeah, I love to get to know you better. Yes, guys. See. This guy, wait, satu mata. You guys need to see the face. The face of the potential husband. Dialogue. Yes. That is my childhood sweetheart, I guess. Wait. We get to know Nama Lenton. Compliment his house. His house is very beautiful. Ask about career. I think he's in a musician career. She gossip with him.
Hi, Vitor. Ibby Bibby. Over needs. Awesome, my bamo.
Yeah, what is your job? Can you? Oh, can I? Wait, do you? Can we try to flirt? Yes. Music talent scouts. Yeah, in the music dish. Wait, I think if you gossip, you can like have dialogues. Did you know that Nancy Legger is filthy rich? I would never have guessed. What do you mean you never have guessed? It's Gossip Boy's co-worker. Let's try to flirt. Oh, it's just normal. Never mind. Oh, that's very. Never mind. Sorry. Get to know again. Wait. He is in a relationship with Aisha? Oh my god. This is so embarrassing. I did not know. Wait. He always single. Now he's having a relationship with Aisha. Oh my god. I'm too late, guys. What should I do? I flirt with someone boyfriend. I'm sorry, guys. You should flirt with someone boyfriend. Okay, guys. Okay, we're just gonna be his friends. Now I'm sad. Now I had to marry the single dad. Oh, single dad is kind of okay. It's here about music. I don't know what they're talking about. I think about theater. You know, last time they're talking about color. You know, I like pink color. Pink color is the most beautiful color of all. Aisha, who is Aisha? We need to find who is Aisha. We will investigate Aisha. Or can we like? Can't we see the profile of Aisha? Aisha. Where have I ever heard Aisha? Are you? Wait, let me visit your home. Let me visit. Are you Aisha? No, that's Tamara. Oh, you have the same hair as me, Tamara. Yeah, let me in the. I don't think Aisha live here. Alright. Wow, star is rich. Rich pearl. Why everything is so dark? Hello? Let's go here. Guess I can't see anything. Oh, now it's so bright. That's Tamara. I don't think Aisha. Let's talk to Tamara. Tamara. Hello, Tamara. You know a girl named Aisha? Yeah, this is key. You have the same hair, you know, only different color. You have brown, a bit brown. I had a red, more reddish one as Bakari. Are you Aisha? No, I think she is Blair. Blair. There's Blair. Kasi. Get to know. Tamara is employed in politics. Oh, political. Debate politics. Oh, she's very sleepy. Okay, and we need to go back home. I kind of forgot about that. Alright. Why are you so angry? And we're gonna go back home. Care for our needs. Charismatic, yeah. You in political. Are you gonna be my prime minister? Apparently, Han Gordon has been flirting with Jamie Jolina. Ah. We need to be quick, guys. It seems like the Sims is quick in relationship. we need to be quick. Why sorry is like this? Check out. Why? I don't know why my overlay keep changing. I don't know, in my POV is changing, you know. Why is like that? Or maybe because I'm doing not full screen. I guess so. Have dinner, mangoes. We gonna eat mangoes. Fine, let me just do full screen. I didn't do full screen because my Spotify was problem just now. Let me do full screen. I'll push it. Full screen. I guess this is why they keep changing. Alright. I can see better. We need to sleep. Not relax. Sleep until fully rested now. Sleep until 6, yeah. We can only sleep until 6 because we have work. Yeah, unfortunately. Reach level 4 cooking skill. What is my level? Level 2. Alright, I think can. Faster. Prepare mac and cheese. Already prepare mac and cheese. Do I want to be friend? I think I can be friend with this. But I still don't have cutting skill. Do I need? I just blend them, right? Befriend coworker is. Yes, never mind. Alright, we're gonna see. Pukul 12 AM. Just about to sleep. Right. Faster. We are almost reached our next promotions. On filing clerk. We are one step away on become the CEO of Mega Corporation, guys. I'm sure I shall be your boss, Thornton. Thornton. I don't know if I say it correctly. Alright, we're gonna wake up and do some little bit of that one. And I might watch some TV first because we have a little bit of fun. We have so little of fun. How my tree? My tree looks fine. She watching romance again. I think that is the only. There's not a lot of channel in this. Oh well, because it's a cheap TV. I forgot. Oh wait, my car is here. Yeah. 35 per hours. Right, let's see what we get after this. Oh no, my TV broke. Oh, okay. I had to. Never mind. I don't have space anymore for tasks. I need meat. God, have I met all coworker? I think I have. Chat. Wait, can I chat with them? Catch up on all the office gossip and sporting news and build camaraderies with your fellow. Will it increase my job performance if I chat with my coworker? I'm not doing jobs. Let's see. Is it increasing? I think it do, but it's what Rosie Honeycutt skill in business would transfer well to politics. Would Rosie like to become the latest campaign intern, job level 3, and leave her current position, filing clerk job level 2? I do love to change job, but I need to become a CEO, so I might keep my job. I want to be the CEO of mega corporation, okay? We need that. Oh, we did increase the performance. By chatting with coworker, we don't do work, we chat. I'm a vice president, CEO. You are the CEO, Kantegov. We be befriending with CEO. Report processing. We should smooth our CEO. Alright. Yeah. Promotes. So happy for you, Rosalind. 209. Let's go. Congratulations, Rosalind. Impressive performance and earned her promotion to report processor, as well as a bonus of 420. It's hard to act on just a hunch when billions of millions are at stake. The board wants you to compile the report and provide detailed analysis every morning. It's a good time to get close to the boss, so that when a better position open up, your name is on the shortlisted. So now I'm making 46 million per hour. Let's go. And work hours do the same. Oh, she really need fun. And I forgot, I need to repair. Never mind. Be worth more than 20. This is a nice one. 850. Never mind. Alright, I can buy some stuff. Do I want to buy stuff? Maybe a better fridge. Let me water my plant. Right. We need to fix the TV because she's trash. She need her TV. Televisions. Touch me like you do. What are you waiting for? Faria on the edge of paradise. 7-inch of her skin. Oh, this song is so slow. She doesn't have skills. It hit my heart on fire. On fire. I let you set the pace. Yeah, taking strength. My head's spinning around. I can't see good no more. Alright, finish repairing. Let's go. La la la, me like you do, like you do. What our apple tree? Still haven't have any level. Oh yeah, I need to meet Leon Ton. Okay. I need to talk to Leon Ton. Leon Ton will be my potential aspiration. We are getting older, guys. I don't have much time. We need to be fast. Okay, fast. Oh, wait. How do I? Somebody calling me. Answer phone. Answer phone. Hello. Who's there? Oh, the great Argely Sinclair. Oh, what's that? The phenomenal gifted chess champion Argely Sinclair will be holding an exhibitions match against some local at the bookstore in the near future. You should attend the event and watch. You just might learn a thing or two. Before time round to earn money. Oh, we can earn money, guys. Gain loaded skill. Would you like to accept? Yes, let's go. We can go. Come back at 12 p.m. and 4 on any day. 12 p.m. and 4. Might go tomorrow. I think tomorrow is okay. We just gonna watch TV. Wait. Oh, I can't dispose wheat. There's wheat at my plant. Ih, curang dengan alien. Mana ada? What do you mean? Elliot is not in this game. I can't do anything. Meg. Whoosh. We need to increase a bit of the fun. Fun. Watch TV. At 7 or 8 p.m. we might go to sleep. Tomorrow work we are won't disappear this time. We are level 3 on business, guy. We're slaying. Oh, I need to increase my relationship with the boss. My boss is not good relationship. Oh, we need to sleep. We are very sleepy. We are tired. Okay. Enough TV. Go sleep. Sleep, girl. No time SMS is open waiting somewhere. As a begin, my condition is say you remember me. Singing away the sunset. I kind of missed the song. But I don't really listen much to the song anymore. 'Cause I don't listen to music actually. I rarely listen to music. I open this music for you guys, okay? You guys can chill. We need some food. Oh, we are very, very hungry, guys. Right. We should have breakfast. We do pancakes. Last forever. This is should I get maybe at 5? At 5 we cook. And we're so stinky. Guys, don't be stinky. Alright, wake up. Buy something with coupon. I'm sorry. I don't have any more space on the task. We have to let go. 4,000 we need 20,000. We need to buy the thing that we want. Oh my god, she have green clouds. It's very, very stinky. Rosalie, why you stinky? Clean the counter. Fine. I clean the counter. Counter is so mess, guys. No. Work in hour. I haven't taken a bath. How? She's very uncomfortable. I got the memory of you around. Oh, she got burned. What are you making? Apple pancake. Yeah, I have apples. I might put here. Wait. Yeah. This one I can sell. I can sell this. I know I have. No, I don't have newspaper. Just in your yeah, guys, we're going to work with our smelly. Smelly. Tak mandi. Tak sempat nak mandi. Bekerja dah sampai. Kereta dah sampai. Okay, we go work early, guys. 1 hour before work time. I have bills. 69. 69 hour bill. Fine. Alright. Chat, can I like suck up to boss? It may not win your many friend at office, but a little sucking up can improve your relationship with your boss. A sale. The grocery shop has sales. Will I increase performance? Yeah, my performance. Yeah, we are gonna increase our relationship with boss. We need to be friend with our boss, guys. My coworker might not like it, but whatever, we can improve our relationship with coworker later on. Okay, we need to make our boss happy. Watch. Oh yeah. at 4. I might be able to go at 4. 12 I can't go. Or maybe I can. Wait. Maybe after work. After work we might able to go. Alright. Yeah, go watch Argyle Sinclair. A chess tournament. We might get money. Right, we get 276 simoleons. 276 simoleons. Okay, here we go. Ta. Oh, it's so stinky. I can't see the air. Oh my god. Never mind, it's fine. 괜찮아요. It's fine. It's fine, guys. Oh, who are you? Oh yeah, we need to find Aisha. Who is Aisha? You are Christopher Steele. It's alien, you know, I dislike Christopher Steele so much when I was playing Sim 3. I don't remember why, but I know I hate him. Wait, who are you? Star? Is that you, Star? I think this Star. No. Who are you? Who are you? You are Star, right? Yeah. Okay, Star. Star. Fiona and Jet Bunch. And the night changes. The change me and you. This take a while. Sebentar, speed up. Are you Aisha? No. I can convince Star to dump Aisha, but Aisha gonna be so mad. So mad at me. Do I want it? Do you guys think I should make Star dump Aisha? Robbie Bland. Why? Are you robbing the book? The bookstore? So Argus Sinclair was simply marvelous, a testament to humanity power over machines and non-sentient creature. You watch him defeat his opponent in only 2 moves, something not seen since. Well, ever. Your logic skill improves simply by watching the exhibitions. Let's go. Alright, we are very hungry. Alright, we should go back to our home. We need to take care of our need, guys. I love to go around the town, but need first. I might die if I don't eat. Hygiene, not so much. Alright. Oh yeah, by the way, we need to pay our bill. It's 69 simoleon. Clean the dishes. I might have to take a bath first. Wait, let me clean this first. Clean my counter. I need to clean my bathtub. Right. And the counter. I might need to clean the dishes after that. Alright. I'm gonna take a bath. Fuzzy earns enough lifetime happiness to purchase a reward. Go to the lifetime happiness panel. Alright. I won't buy this one. The thing that I like is Office Hero, Legend Host. A lot of this lifetime reward is okay lah. It's nice. Discount diner also nice. But I do want this one. What's that? Long distance friends. Yeah. Because I haven't really talked much Leonton. We might become distant friends, and he might hate me. Oh no, no, he won't hate me. Just like, who are you? Like that. I take those bath. Clean up this, and we might have dinner. We might have autumn salads. Yeah, I know I can serve. Make a many in a big portions of foods, but I'm gonna increase the cooking skill. That's why I'm doing one by one. It takes time. Yeah, I know. Oh, it's 7 p.m. already. Oh, wait, tomorrow is holiday. Yeah, let's go. A holiday, then we can like. I guess we can meet Lenton tomorrow. Yeah, very sleepy. Clean up and cook some food and then we go to sleep. We can sleep late today. Can sleep late. We have fine. Marry a single dad. Single dad is cool. Cool too. I think her wife died. You can read actually, and let me show you guys. Actually, you can read their law in the world panel. Wait, let me see. I think you need to go to the world edit. Let me save first. Save it. Loading. You go to the edit world, edit town thing. Just continue. I already saved it. Would you like to activate the edge scrolling feature? No, I don't like the edge scrolling feature. And if you hover to the house that one, the Sakamoto. Wait, how do I? Wait, wasn't I can read the law? Only edit detail. Yeah. Sakamoto. Yumi Sakamoto has recently moved in with her son Ryoton to help him raise his daughter Sam. Maybe not about his wife. I thought there's a lot more. Let me see. Working friends. 4 women trying to make their way in the world. Oh wait, not working friend. Where is style or roomies? Sorry. Can 5 young adults from 5 different backgrounds really stand living together in single houses? Just about every personality is represented in a wacky household. But who is a sitting playing guy who doesn't socialize with others, and how he managed to get his own rooms? I think it's about. But who is Aisha? I can't remember. Working friend, are you Aisha here? Wait. I need to find. Switch to this. How no? Speak how do I know? How can I know the name? Never mind. And shall visit later to the game. Never mind. We should continue. That's how you know a bit of the law, a bit lah. Yeah, cook. We need level 4 cooking. A bit more. Not a bit more, actually. Long. Still far away. We just cook some not garden salad. Autumn salad. Autumn salad. Oh yeah, there's no season here, so there's no spring or anything. I might sleep until fully rested. Right. Yes, I know you are tired. You just need to fast eat, Miska. Alright, go sleep. No, everything you need to clean. Not okay. So many things. Oh, fully rested at 6 p.m. Okay, that's nice. Oh, it looks so dark in my OBS. You guys can see or not? I'm sorry. Barely can see in my OBS. Yeah. So what time is it? 3:35. Alright. Sleep. Guys, also sleep. Alright. Pancakes. Can I eat while watching TV? I think I can. Let's try. Oh my god, it's so nasty. We need to clean the house. We need to clean the house. Later we clean. I think she won't burn anymore cooking. So yeah. I'm not gonna be burned. Hahaha. I'm a pro cooker. What song is this? I don't like this. Clean the dishes. Learn new recipe.
Zart.
Eat apple pancake. Oh, no. Before you eat, can you like clean this? Clean this. Thank you. Then you eat your pancakes while watching TV. Can I do two? He got me listen to this song.
Bob.
Shino, why you listen to this song for? This is not my playlist, by the way. Yeah, clean the dishes. Oh wait. Oh, they cannot eat while watching TV in Sims 3. Alright. Let's take a bath and then we go visit Leonton. I need to friend him. Someone could you call me? Answer phone. My boss. Yeah, boss. What do you want, boss? I'm in the bathtub, boss. I'm taking a bath. Oh my god, boss calling me. Yeah, boss. Hello, boss. Huh? You have work? You wanna talk to me, sure? You have problem at work? I can't come today, boss. Boss, today is holiday, boss. You shouldn't call me, boss. Why are you talking to me on holiday? Oh, see, he talking about business. Boss, you have a lot of other coworker. You can depend on them. Okay, boss. Today is my holiday and you shouldn't really talk to me. But if you wanna give me extra money, can. If they're talking to boss. Why is the toilet paper so far away from the from the toilets? You have to be. Yeah. I don't have bidet here, okay, guys. It's no bidet. The toilet paper. Yeah. Hahaha, boss. This is so funny, boss. I think you need to do A. You need to talk to the client and I know you can do it, boss. Are you done talking to the boss? Oh, this is a long talk. Boss? Boss, what is ka, boss? Okay, goodbye, boss. Boss. Go talk to your wife. Actually, he and her wife actually is not in good term, I think. If I remember correctly. I claim some coupon. I want to know what coupon I will get. Okay, will I get a good coupon? Oh, my apple tree. Apple tree is very, very big now. I can water them. Lettuce. Ooh, $3. I might go and buy the lettuce. Discount lettuce. I can blend them, Can I weed? No, I cannot weed the. Not. I cannot sabut the. Rumput. I mean, use the coupon. We need to go to the grocery. Can I just sell that newspaper? Just $0. Yes, only one buy item. $3. I buy things here. I can. You wanna grow the lettuce? Yeah, I can. We can grow the lettuce. Is nobody at home? Oh, Lantern is at the park. Let's go. Let's visit the park. Let's meet our potential husband. I don't have any with other people. I'm not interested with other. Other is more like the kind of like a child. Oh why are you angry here? Where Leonton? I don't see him. Today is Saturday. This kind of sad. I don't see him. You liar. Who are you? Fiona, I think. Oh yeah, this Fiona. Never mind. I've been deceived. I might do practice some chess. I don't see him. Oh, he might be back home already. No. Maybe back home. No, only Yumi and Sam is there. I'm not. Maybe I could just invite him. You know your toilet is over there. You can just go toilet. Oh, there's a basket. But I already eat. Invite over. No. Maybe no. Why this song? Can you call Lantern? We need him. What boss? Okay, I didn't realize my boss was here. Boss, I know you called me just now. This creepy boss. This creepy boss. Why are you here, boss? Go to work. You don't work today, boss. Well, I guess today is holiday. Why boss is here? Yes, Lantern. Try call back in 7 hours. No. He doesn't want to talk to me. Hi, Sandy. Oh, why? Why you don't want to talk to me? Maybe because I'm not friend with him. Oh, never mind. Never mind. You can just continue play chess. Let's just practice chess. You shit. This is an sorry. This is Cyclope, right? Eh, not Cyclope, Cyclone. Kind of forgot the name. Snow. No. I had it all planned. Oh, you're so cute. Wait, who are you? River. Oh, my Irish. Na. Untouchable. Untouchable. It's nice. It's an open world, you know, guys. I can like see people, but it take a bit to render. We have so many common. I love to get to know you better. Where are you? You are over there. You're not even talking. What do you mean you have a lot in common? Why are you so angry? Chill, girl. Chill. Just like chess. Kind of scared me. Alright, level 2. I know you want a telescope, but it's expensive. Now, can I visit Leonton? It's not home. I guess he might working, but I don't really know what his work at. Or maybe he's here. There's another park here. I can't remember what park is this. Like this. It's not in this park. Let's visit other park. Attractive company. He's married, guys. He's married, Risling. He is married. Don't go ahead. A married guy. Please find single people. We need to be fast. Or we don't really have a lot of sims. Oh my god, the car almost ran me over. Why are you running? Oh, there's seeds. Sorry, this is seeds. You can collect them. We can plant them when we have a lot of level. Again, why are you running? No, but Arlo Bunch, Marty Kitten. Oh, it's Bella Goff or Bella Bachelor's name. I think this is a teen. Nope. Maybe he's working. I think so. Can you like go take the seeds? And we just go back home. Our mission to befriend him is nada. Never mind. Just go home. We go home. We might go take care of our needs. Have some goopy carbonara. What's goopy carbonara? I need to clean my bargain zone. To clean my house actually. It's so gorgeous. Everything Goopy carbonara. What kind of goopy? What is goopy? I don't know what is goopy actually. Is that in the description? I never realized what food is that. Goopy. No, there's no description of goopy. Can you eat that? Eat, please. Improve cooking skill. Yeah, I'm trying to. After you eat, can you like clean the house? I need that. The house is unclean. I don't think there's a lot need to be cleaned. Newspaper, oxy. Let's sleep. Already 9. We will try tomorrow. 15 days left. Oh my god. Going to be fast. Fast guy, fast. Your gorgeous. I'm kinda hungry a bit. I might end my stream at 4. At 4 I might end my stream. When you wake up to this, have breakfast. I still haven't learned any new skill. Level 3, eh? Maybe I need to buy new. Maybe let's buy new fridge because this is a very cheap. 2 to 5. How much can we have a new fridge? 650. There's not a lot. There is no a lot of base game fridge. This one is 1002. Wait. Alright. How do you sell? How do I sell this? Delete? Oh, yes. Let's buy this one. 650 and I think this is a good stove. Yeah. That's a good stove. Might need to recolor it. Can I have a normal looking blue? Pink. Yeah, no. Until they do that. Blue. Do I want to do blue, guys? Do blue not look nice? recalling our counter. I think it's look nice. Can I recolor this? Cow skin. Oh my god, cow. Blue. I think our house is blue themes. Oh my god, it's loading. Thanks. That is fine, alright. It's look fine now, more brighter than the same more color. Oh, it's already wake up. If we have more money, we can buy new beds. Or better beds. Have breakfast, maybe waffle today. We keep eating pancake. Oh no, my toilet's clogged. I need to fix my toilets. Hi, toilets. See? It's look nice, the blue. It's look nice. Eat that, please. Eat that. I can't eat while watching TV, unfortunately. It's not simple. Right, it's 7 AM. I think I can go visit the Leonton. Before that, I need to tend my garden. We need the apple, okay. Oh yeah, I need to plant my lettuce. We need to plant here. Can I plant level 5? I need to increase my I didn't even have gardening skill yet. Dude, you need to have gardening skill. As we garden with our we didn't even change clothes. Just wear your nightgown. No worry. Yeah, harvest this apple tree. The produce can be found in the alright, why I get logic skill level 2-4? It's supposed to be garden skill. Can I water? No. Right. I think worth doing require LT there. Oh, I did get the gardening skill. Let's go. At least you are gardener. Rosine should be prepared to fertilize, weed, water, and talk to every plant she gather. Call forth Rosalind with spade in hands. You now have some seeds in your inventory. I have more seeds. I have grape. I can plant some grapes. Maybe 2 grapes and 1 lettuce. I cannot steal. I cannot cabut the rumput yet, unfortunately. Yeah, we have a garden, guys. Alright. Let's visit our potential boyfriend. I'm sorry, guys. What are you so scared about? Are you saying I'm a clown? I'm not a clown, Miska. Where are you going? Oh, are you working? Sam! Sam! Hello, Sam. Why are you bald? Where's your hair, Sam? Sam is grown up already, you know. No, I think Leighton go to work. Let's our potential sons. Potential. We should friendly chat with him. Gossip with him. Don't go inside. Just talk to him. I don't know where your hair is, but your house is very nice, you know. Yes, gossip boy. Got to know the son. Have you heard Nick Alto and Nick become enemy? There's an anime within the world. Hi Ricky, thank you for the alert. Welcome. At what time should I get to know your father? Can you tell me? Oh, I need a raise. Yeah, I might do that. Funny, make silly face. Why I'm talking to a kid outside? I don't know. Okay, I don't know where her grandma is. My grandma is not home. Wait, you're alone at home. I know I'm alone with the kids. I just chat. Tell story. Oh no, my overlay it's not okay. Sabar jap. I don't know if you guys see my overlay, but I don't know why I said that. Now my game is gone. Hello game. Game. Game come back. Okay. Game is come back. So many problems today. I'm sorry. I'm a scuff streamer. Never mind. Your father is not here. What can I do? Well, I get 6,000 already. I can't run missions. Kunadata. Copy my get note. Is this the only interaction I can do? It's so limited. Very limited. Special, friendly. I only can get to know. Maybe I can get to know your. Maybe okay. Let's go to another place. It's weird talking to kids. Yeah, he's only at home. I think. Yeah. Leonton, yeah, I think he is a sport person. No, the golf. The CEO is already old. Oh, guys. Maybe because I turned aging on. Maybe we can go to the gym. Let's go, guys. Gym time. Oh, somebody calling me. Wait, angkat. Somebody calling me. Somebody. Answer. Hello. Who is that? Please don't be my boss. Oh. What's this? Oh. Sam Secretary has been pretty busy lately and doesn't have time to cook. You've been asked to prepare a nice group meal in exchange for some nice cash. Get the pan simmering before time shut. Ooh. Prepare a nice group meal and bring it to Sam. Sam, huh? You want to taste my cooking? Sure. Let me see. One serving of any recipe. Okay, let's go and cook Sam. Pancakes. Let's cook him a pancakes. I know he will love it. Okay, pancakes. Pancake is good. Alright. I don't know what pancake. Maybe apple. I do have apple here. Which one is not a seed? Okay, this one. I can put my apple that I harvest there. I don't know. I guess a pancake. I do have a lot of apples. Like, scoop. Level 3, almost to level 4. Skinny. Tomorrow's working. I didn't even get to meet Lantern. Alright, I did say, oh, nice quality. Let's go. Alright. We gonna go and bring that. Deliver food. Yes, let's talk to Sam. We'll go back over time, eat or store them in soon. Please don't go back. I'm going to give it to Sam. Sam. Hello, Sam. Sam, I need to talk to you. How do I see? I can't see. Sam. Oh. Sam, here, I make you apple pancake. Hope you love it, Sam. And maybe you can tell your dad that I make a good pancake. if you wanna taste apple pancake, you can tell your dad we can meet up and maybe be friends and or things. I don't know. The food was delicious and much appreciate. Your reputation as a great chef is growing. You being given cash as token of thanks. I got how much? Hundreds. Okay, last time because it's a kid. A kid told me to cook things. Okay, 100 simoleon is a lot. Thank you for the money. Okay, I'm just gonna go home. There's no one at the home actually. There's only Sam. Yumi also go out. Right. We need to take a bath. And oh no. It's we need to unclock it. It's broken, ma. I don't think we'd be able to marry in this, but I don't know lah. In the next stream, I might play again. In the next stream, I don't know when. Faster fixing. Oh, somebody calling me. Boss. Why? Stop calling me, boss. I'm having a pinchy. Boss. Why you keep calling me, boss? You want? Sure. Boss, what do you want to talk about? I know we are becoming friends, but you need to stop calling me. It's weird, boss. You have a wife. Stop calling me. Call your wife. Why are you liking this call? Why it sounds so liking it? I don't know. Alright, we're gonna use that and we're gonna cook. Have some. Oh, we have grilled cheese. We should try grilled cheese. Sound delicious. Become good friend. Oh, we already friend with our boss. Wait. Yeah, let's go. Our first friend. Because he keep calling me, okay guys. Not me. I didn't initiate the boss. Thornton did.
Okay, I'm fine. Quinchana. Quinchana. Ding, ding, ding,
I don't know why the boss keep disturbing me, okay? Yesterday, on Saturday, he keep calling me. And Sunday also called me. No, I don't want to marry Thornton. No. I don't really like Thornton. We're just friends, okay? New friends. Can you just stop calling already 1 hour? Okay. Go cook. I don't know, I'm having fun playing Sims 3. Will I have the same fun as Sims 4? Because this is just only the base game, by the way. I not kapam. What do you mean by that? I'm very funny, by the way. Don't you do it, nah. Kapam is only on 50%, okay, guys. Yesterday we got 100%, but then my moderator is not home. Pity you guys. Right, I'm gonna cook something. Very wangy. Maybe you the kapam. Are you streaming, Ricky? Are you doing? Up to. You know, I have fun playing base game Sims 3, but I don't know, will I have fun playing base game Sim 4? I never played base game Sim 4. I always had other packs on Sim 4. I might play it. I don't know which day. Might be next week. I'm intrigued to play Sims. I love playing this game, by the way. Just chilling for me. I don't know for you guys. This is an old game. Let's go, grilled cheese. Normally. Oh, level 4, let's go. Good friend. Okay, whatever. She wanna be good friend with Thornton. Okay. Iqbal already so old. Oh my god, guys. Turning age on. Okay, this is so sad. Stranger. Oh. I found you, Aisha. Okay, for context. during my childhood, I always marry either Leonton or another person called Stat McGraw. But Stat McGraw in this save game is having a relationship with Aisha. I was like, who is Aisha? This one. How dare you? How dare you take away my style? Never mind, I have Leonton. I can marry Leonton. I don't need you. I don't need your style. It's just so sad. Oh yeah, I can do simultaneous things in Sims 3. I can eat and eat. Then I have to watch TV. I need to increase a bit of funds. Watch something. And then we might go sleep. My coworker, my boss is happy, my coworker is happy. We might talk to, or maybe just work hard. Yeah. Work hard is better. Because I need to increase to get a raise. Oh, I'm hungry. There's only 4 guys. Oh my god. 4. Okay, we play 1 more days Sims D lah. And then I might end my stream. I've been saying I wanna end my stream and so because I'm very hungry. I'm hungry. Hope you guys are not hungry. If you guys hungry, go eat. If you guys sleepy, go sleep. We don't really need to watch my stream, okay guys? Okay, you guys can lurk. I'm fine. You faster. There's no burglar. The burglar is not coming to my house. I want to show you guys the burglar. Yeah. I don't know why a lot of people is scared of the burglar sound, but I'm kind of fine with it. Make me jump scare, but I didn't scare of it. Oh, 1 hour left. Wake up, wake up. We are late to work. Maybe quick meal today. There is cereal. I don't think we have enough time to cook. So we just gonna... Ooh, I just hear some cars. We just gonna... What? Dirty surroundings. What dirty? Or maybe my toilets. Take a bath? Nah. We just gonna go work without taking a bath, yeah. Stinky. What kind of cereal are you eating? I don't know what cereal you're eating. Well, I do want some cereals. Alright, go to work. We're gonna work hard today. We have a lot of fun. The fun bar is nice. I can do this. Alright, we're gonna power work. Power work is boost your job performance, but working... I need to read that. But working through lunch all the time can be stressful. Oh, I skipped lunch. Nah, we don't need... We already eat cereal just now. No worry, yeah. Everything is fine. Fine, guys, fine. It's fine. Fine, everything is fine. Two. Oh, from one chef to another for Rosin Honeycutt. Emma Hash, a fellow chef, would like to discuss cooking with you to see if there are some tips to be gleaned from your culinary cranium. Meet up with Emma Hash to socialize and share cooking tips, and you might walk away with a few cooking tips and a relationship boost. Okay, all right. We wanna meet Emma Hatch and share cooking tips. Alright, can do it. But might be after work. We will go meet Emma Hatch. No, I wanna keep my job. I wanna be CEO of Mega Corporation, guys. I might. Oh, I can get promotions. Am I getting promotion? Let's go. I get raised, guys. No, I don't want to talk Torton. Stop it. So I got 274 today. Let's go. Congratulations, Rosalie. Impressive performance has earned her a promotion to corporate drone. What is corporate drone? As well, bonus 552. Okay, that's a lot of bonus. After all this time, you finally been given a desk, 4 cubicle walls, and just a little bit of space to personalize your area. I got a cubicle, guys. Corporate drone make the company propel forwards akin to, what's that? Ormans on an ancient sailing vessel. Keep rowing toward middle management. Alright. I got 59 per hours. That's a lot. Let's go. I need to meet Emma Hatch. Emma Hatch, where are you, Emma? Emma. I need to meet you, Emma. I'm so stressed. Bye, carpool. I didn't eat the carpool. The carpool will survive. No worry, guys. Where is Emma? Emma? Where is Emma? Emma, you at the pool, eh? Wow. You want to swim, guys? Where we can. Where is Emma? This is not Emma. This is Jamie Jolly. Right. Oh, here's Emma. Hello, Emma. Nice to meet you. I think you want to share some cooking tips. I have a cooking tip, so you just need to burn your cooking and it's fine. You can still eat. Wait, where are you going? I was about to talk to her and everything, but now it's fine. I think she got work. The conversation between you and Emma was full of great tips and cooking secrets. It's a shame the local cooking channel wasn't recording it for broadcast. Head home to prepare something delicious with your improved cooking ability. Let's go. How much was it improved? Not that many. Cameron? I never heard of you, Cameron. Justin Kyoton. I don't see any Cameron. Cameron Highland maybe? Why it's so bright? Oh, Star. Hello, Star. Green. Hello, Star. You are here. Hello. Why are you thinking about Cameron? No, stop thinking. How are you? Announced promotion. Do you know I got a promotion in corporate ladder? I am this close to be your CEO. Say congratulations. Thank you. Why you look so sad, Style? Are you having problems? I know, let's get to know you. Oh, it's Agnes. Couple bottom. Why are you guys so angry? Kunadata. You wanna left your girlfriend for me? No, I'm just asking. I'm not evil. What are we, an attractive company? Hot sim. She like to get to know better. Who? Daddy? Style? I guess so. How do you say goodbye? Okay, goodbye. Wait, everyone's so swimming. I mean, let me swim. I want to swim too. I'm a slave. It's still not finished talking. Oh, I'm hungry. Let's swim a bit. Is swimming fun? Star, you're getting in the way. Alright. Swim with so many people today. Why? Swim here. Beast splash. Don't splash me, mister. Why everyone splashing me? Agnes. Yamero, Agnes. Yamero. You wanna splash me, I splash you back. Aha. Yes. Ha ha ha. Oh, wait, chill, Agnes, chill. I just smashed you one time. Why is not chilling? Oh, breath contest. I know I can win. Okay, I know I can win. I will win this. Wait, where's my hair? Why I'm bald? My hair disappeared, guys, underwater. My hair! My hair! See, I win. Alright, guys, just go home. Nice swimming. I'm kinda tired. I'm kinda tired and hungry. Hi, Haru. I'm playing Sims 3. What do you mean? Make it up. Don't you know Sims? Sims 3. Saja main Sims 3 mengimbau kenangan lama. I kinda miss Sims 3. Alright, she's kinda hungry. Let's have dinner. Ooh, I have so many options. Ooh, I have spaghetti. Spaghetti bolognese, I think. Oh, wow. Oh, I didn't finish my cereal. No, it's spoiled. Let me clean that for you. Can I? Yes, can. Hajuma my Sims 3. May report je malam ni. Wait. I don't, yeah. We may ajak Val tapi I think tomorrow. Maybe can. Tapi I only available pukul 10. Kalau nak main dulu main lah. Haru. Kalau main dulu nanti pukul 10 je datang. Always like that. Wager. Ya, cook. Oh my song gold one. Cook. Spaghetti. Siapa lagi Haru? Ajak your member. Let's go. Wow. That's a delicious spaghetti. Biasanya on pukul 10. Okay. 10. Boleh je. Are you playing mods by the way? Ooh, where's the meatball? It look nice, I guess. Let's take a bath for me to sleep and then not that one. Take a bath and then we go to sleep. Alright. Oh, so many things to clean. Oh, reach level 6 cooking. I don't want to befriend you, so go away, Torton. I don't know my boss like to befriend me. Oh, tak guna mods. Sama Haji pun tak tiga guna mods. Semalam I was playing with Kato and what's that name? Bimek. Using mods. And I don't really know how to like revive Bimek using mods. So Bimek was dying. Sorry Bimek. Alright. That is all for my, I don't know you guys see what you guys see. My screen's so dark. That is all for my Sims 3 for today. I might play another day also. We haven't really talked much with Leonton. We didn't have the opportunity because every time my holiday, Torton. I don't want Torton. No, not Torton. I mean, every time I'm holiday, Leonton Sakamoto is working, so I can't really talk to him. Okay, he's my potential husband. I might do it in the next playthrough later day. Okay, alright. Like that's for my Sim 3. Hope you guys enjoy my Sim 3. It's nice playing back Sim 3. You know, it's really nice. It's mengimbau kenangan yang lama. visit. Hey Rio, welcome to the stream. I just ending my stream actually. I just finished playing Sims 3 years. How are you? Yeah, I wanna close my game. Oh, I haven't saved. God. Yeah, I need to save first. Hope you have a good stream. I do. I have a good game time today. It's really nice playing Sims 3 by the way. Really. You guys should try. Play it. If you haven't. If you like simulation games. The end of the stream, yeah, I kinda hungry actually. Hi Ju. How do you finish classes, is it? Wait. This right. Kapambusu. No, you are Kapambusu. Let me shout out to you, yo. Chitamate, my game is closing. Wow. My god. 3-hour gameplay. Nice. Shout out to Rio. How's your day been going? Rio, Ju. Hi Kato. No, I'm not Kapam. Okay, welcome aboard. I just finished playing. I do have a lot of games I want to play. Solo games lah. Like Dragon Age. I do want to play that again. But might do after I finish other games for Dragon Age. I currently like playing solo games and co-op games is fine. I know. If you guys wanna invite me co-op game, it's okay. Okay. But if you guys not invite me, I just play solo. Right. I may move my abi ashit. Alright. I don't think there's anything. I might play Repo. Somebody ajak me tonight, Repo. But I might not stream it. I don't usually stream. Malah lah nak stream malam pun ada. Sorry. Saya jujur je. Malas stream malam. Tapi tengoklah kalau mood Zee okay, internet Zee okay, Zee stream. Kalau tak. Ni pun tadi pun banyak juga disconnect and reconnecting my internet. Oh my god, I hear my voice. Alright guys, thank you. Thank you everyone for coming to my stream. I'm ending my stream now. Let me rate people today. Wait, we're gonna rate. There's not a lot of people. Let's rate Collie Chen. He's Kun. He is playing Monster Hunter Wild, I think. Let's go say hi to him. Alright guys, thank you for coming today and see you guys again in the next stream. I had fun today and hope you guys have fun chilling with the music background. I think you guys can hear the song. See you guys again. Bye bye. Annyeong.